we've got some small games that we're stuffing into stockings.
In this Christmas edition of Little Big Thumbs.
Welcome to Little Big Thumbs, a channel that's all about finding great games that are equally fun for little players and big players. My name is JP.
And I'm Milo.
And in this video, we are going to be sharing some tiny, cute little packages that you can stuff into stockings for Christmas morning. Now, each of us have picked out 3 little games that we're going to share with you today. And let me ask you, Milo, what's your relationship with tiny games and Christmas stockings?
Well, I love small games in general. They're great for traveling, and, you know, I like to bring games with me everywhere I go. You never know when an opportunity might arise where you can play a board game, and I always like to be prepared. So the smaller the game, the better, the more of them I can bring. And, you know, with Christmas, I usually get like a game or 2 every Christmas. I've come to sort of expect that. People know that I love board games. But what I don't expect is a tiny little game stuffed into a stocking. So that would thrill me.
Now, as I was saying, we've each got 3 games, so you're going to have 6 recommendations in this video, and most of these, generally speaking, you can probably find on the shelves of your friendly local game store. But if you don't see them on the shelves, make sure to ask the staff there if they'd be willing to do some sort of special order to bring in one of these games for you for the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. Do that. And let's start sharing, because I'm excited. Let's get to it.
All right, let's start stuffing.
All right, so my first game that I've chosen is Scout. This is a tiny little game, as we know, by Oink Games. And I've had a few of them. Scout I've had my eyes on for a little bit, and I've played it recently, and I would be so thrilled to get Scout in my stocking this year. So Scout is a trick-taking game where you are in a traveling circus and you have these performers that you're going to put out in the form of cards. And yeah, you want to like win tricks and make points. This
is such a cute tiny game. I've played this one time before, and I was just marveled by it. I wanted to play it over and over and over again, which I hope to in the near future. Great pick. Great pick. Scout. So my first game comes from the lovely folks at Gamewright. This is in their iconic little tiny card game box. This game is called Deducto. This is like deduction gaming distilled down to its most core elements. In this game, players are going to be holding 6 cards in their hand, but one of those cards is going to be facing out towards the other players. And the goal of the game is to try to figure out the identity of that card. There are 3 factors that we need to sort out. There is the animal, the name of the animal. There is the disguise that they're wearing. And there's the location that they're in. And throughout the course of the game, you're going to be playing a card down, and the other players are going to tell you whether the card you played has something in common with your secret card. At any time, even if you don't fully have the answer, you can make a guess as to what your secret card is. And if you're wrong, you're kind of have to lose some of the information that you've gathered over the course of the game. The artwork in this game is just delightful. It's from Kwanchai Moria, so it's so colorful and evocative. My kids love just how this whole game looks. It's got this simple gameplay that my kids can get into. It's really accessible for them, but it's also just as tricky for adults. So I'd be just as happy to bring this to a game night as maybe some way to like sort of top off the night as like a gaming dessert. This game is so much fun, and I would give this to absolutely anybody. Deducto from Gamewright, super fun.
That sounds like a super fun game. Yeah. I feel like I've heard the name Deducto, but I didn't know anything about it, and I'm sold now.
Awesome, awesome. We'll play it soon.
Okay. My second game that I've chosen for a stocking stuffer is actually Jekyll versus Hyde. So this is actually, it happens to be another trick-taking game. And this is a 2-player specific trick-taking game. If you know anything about the story of Jekyll and Hyde, one player will play Jekyll and the other will play Hyde. Jekyll is all about like balance, and Hyde is all about imbalance and chaos. And so, well, if you're Jekyll, you want to keep the pawn that's moving away from the very edge of the other side of the board. And if you're Hyde, you want to make it to that last spot. And the pawn will move based on how many tricks you've won each turn. If you're Hyde, then you want there to be a greater difference between the tricks you've won and your opponent. Whether you're losing tricks or winning tricks doesn't matter as long as there's like a really big difference. And if you're Jekyll, then you want to have a balance of them, so an equal number if possible. It takes place over 3 rounds. It's a great little trick-taking game. There's, it's not overly complicated, but there's enough strategy that it's great. It keeps you engaged and focused. I love it. Mwah, chef's kiss.
I feel like I might have played this once on Board Game Arena. I'm not sure if it's still on there, but that would be a great way to try out this game if you want to see if it might be a good fit for the folks that you're gifting for before you go and make that purchase. But super fun game. Sounds like a lot of fun, like a great couples game.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so my second game is a really tiny box. Of course, it's a tiny box. It's a tiny box from Crowd Games, and the name of this game is Speedy Feedy. This actually might be one that I've made you play before, actually, now that I think of it.
I haven't played it.
No?
No.
You've probably heard about it, though.
I've heard about it.
Yeah. Speedy Feedy is a game that, on the surface, it really looks like it's a kid's game. And the way this game works is that there are 5 animals that are in the center of the table. And each round we're going to be taking 1 card each. Each player's going to take 1 card, and then we're going to flip them over simultaneously. And those cards are going to have different food types on them. And what we've got to immediately, quickly figure out is which of the animals, those 5 animals in the middle of the table, is going to be best fed with their favorite foods. And then you got to grab the card that you think was best fed. And that's the way you're going to get points in this game. Whoever has grabbed the animal that's been best fed, they're going to get 2 of the food cards that were used in the game as points. And when we've been through the entire stack of food cards, and whoever's got the most points, those food cards stored as points, is going to be the winner of the game. So this is like super quick reaction kind of game. And as I said a moment ago, this is a game that on the surface looks like it's for kids. And that like basic introductory gameplay that I explained is for kids. But there are these, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 different like extra levels of complexity that you can add into the game. And then by the time you've gotten through like even a couple of these extra layers of the game, it's no longer a game that's for kids. And when these folks, when Crowd Games sent me this, I read on the box, it said, this is a game for adults that kids can play. And I was like, maybe they got like the translation wrong on describing this game, because this looks like a game that's just for kids. But it's not. It is a deceptive little game that has that intro level that almost anyone can play, but it's got this other level, this other layer of complexity and just absolute like brain burny business going on. That's crazy. It's just insane that there are this deep dichotomy between the different experiences that you can have in Speedy Feedy. And that's why I think it would be a great fit for a stocking stuffer, because you don't have to add in those extra layers. You can play with kids and whatnot with that basic experience, but you've got this whole other game that you might want to play after the kids have gone to sleep, or you might want to get a party going and maybe have a few adult beverages and play some Speedy Feedy and watch your friends sweat as they try to grab the right cards at the right time. So that's my second pick, Speedy Feedy.
Yep, Speedy Feedy sounds chaotic, super fun. I know you've played it with a couple people. They spoke very highly of it, so yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad people are speaking highly of it, because I think it's cool. It's a really neat experience.
So the last game that I've chosen to recommend as a stocking stuffer is none other than Similo. So Similo is a great little cooperative card game that's, I think, best described as multiplayer Guess Who?
That's a great description. That's an awesome description. I love that.
So in Similo, there are different decks. You can choose to combine them if you're an experienced Similo player, but every deck is going to have a theme. For example, the Fables deck is one, and in the deck are different characters from fables, stories, stuff like that, Little Red Riding Hood. And there's going to be a grid of characters, and one player chooses one identity of the 12 options at the start of the game, and then draws a hand of 5, and then they will play those cards onto the table as clues, trying to get the other people who are playing to guess which card they are referring to by slowly eliminating the other cards that are not the secret identity card. And they'll do that by playing cards either vertically, which means yes, there are similarities, or horizontally, which means not a ton of similarities, more different than similar. And over a series of rounds, you'll slowly make eliminations until there are 2 choices left, and hopefully, if all goes well, then you'll guess the secret character. But it's one of my favorites. I have a few different versions now, and I just highly recommend Similo. It's a great little game.
Didn't you have a friend grab you the cool Essenspiel edition of Similo with all the different games or game publishers on it?
Yep, straight from Germany. I have it in my collection now. I am so thrilled. I haven't played this one yet. I think it's going to be a little bit more challenging than the others, but I am excited to give it a go.
Awesome. Very cool. Similo is a great pick. Great stocking stuffer. My final stocking stuffer game for this list is another cooperative game, but this is a cooperative game that's more geared towards children. And the name of that game is Sheep Hop from Space Cow. And this is a game in which we are going to be rolling a die and moving a sheep across a pasture that is being patrolled by wolves. And our goal is to get past the wolves and get to our safe zone inside of their little pen, to their safe area where they cannot be gobbled up by the wolves. It's really, really straightforward. You roll a die, it shows the color of a sheep, or it shows 1 or 2 of the wolves to move. The wolves have a looping track that they're going along, and if the wolves ever land on the same space that the sheep are currently on, then they snatch up that sheep and take it away out of the game. And we win if at the end of the game there are more sheep after all the sheep have left the board. Whether there are more sheep in their safe zone, then we win. And if there are more sheep in the wolf's place where they're doing some cooking, then the wolves win the game. This game, although it's really simple, there are some really interesting and quality decisions to make along the way, because the sheep have this option they can either they can move orthogonally, but if there's another animal, a single other animal in front of them, they can do a hop, hence the name of the game, Sheep Hop. They can hop over other animals, moving themselves 2 spaces instead of 1. And so trying to organize where your sheep are on the board so they can kind of combo and really get across that board quickly. They can even hop over the wolves. They just can't wind up in the same path as the wolves. So this game it's super adorable. It's super fun. This is probably one of the most played games in my house over the last year because of how much my little bean has enjoyed Sheep Hop. I wouldn't say that it's one that I would necessarily bring out to play with just adults, but there's a lot going on there. There's enough going on there that adults are going to be they're going to be engaged in the game. They're going to have some as I said, quality choices to make along the way, and it's quick and it's fun. And I tell you, the setup is crazy simple because the top of the box is actually one of those magnetic clasps. So you just open up the box and your board is set up. You just drop your sheep and your wolves and grab the die, and then you're ready to go. On top of all of this, there's actually I don't know, maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 mini micro expansions that are included, and each of those adds obstacles and other ways to make the game a tiny bit more difficult. So there's a really simple way to play the game right out of the box, but after you've played it a few more times, there are ways to mix and match those mini expansions to make the gameplay experience a little more interesting and engaging, and to keep you coming back. Sheep Hop, I don't know. It was a real surprise. It was a real surprise at, number one, how much Josie enjoyed that game and how much I enjoyed playing with her. So Sheep Hop is a great one to put into a kid's stocking this holiday season.
That sounded like a cool game. I love co-op games, as everyone knows. And it does sound like there are some tricky, not tricky decisions, but, you know, like more involved decisions, things to consider. It sounds cool. Yeah, good pick.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our stocking stuffer recommendations. And of course, we don't want to just leave it with the stocking stuffer recommendations that we brought to the table. We want to know your recommendations as well. So feel free to leave a comment in this video sharing the games that you might be planning to put in a stocking this year.
Yeah, please let us know. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time,
whether you've got little players
or big players,
make sure that you keep playing games
that make your thumbs
go way up. Bye for now.